Hello everybody, Nick over here at Scoggin-Dickey for SEMA 2021. We actually have a special guest today. Now this would be, am I correct in saying Congressman?
Yeah.
Jerrod Sessler?
Candidate, yeah, candidate for Congress.
Okay,
yeah.
And for what?
For Washington Sports District.
Okay, Washington Sports District,
so
Republican Party, I'm guessing?
Republican Party, conservative, it's central, eastern Washington.
Okay.
So very conservative, farmlands, not like a lot of the kind of what's known, Washington's known for, which is more the Seattle area.
Right.
You know, there's actually a finite number of crazy people in Washington, and we try to contain them to the Seattle area.
I don't know. You came to a great place. We're all a little crazy too. So, one thing you and me were talking about, I'd like to get right into it. You were explaining a little bit of how, like, the EPA works, and you kind of told me some things I honestly did not learn until just a few minutes ago. Why don't you kind of elaborate on that? Explain for the people watching here. Were you saying that the EPA does not have to go through the same kind of process through Congress when other laws and other measures get passed?
Absolutely right.
So how does it work? How does that?
So there's an infrastructure that's set up that's known as the administrative state, which is a bad thing. It's very bad for us as American people. And essentially what it does is Congress has abdicated their responsibility to these agencies. And so when you look at it from a hierarchical standpoint, you have the executive branch, you have the legislative branch, you have the judicial branch. Well, within the executive branch, you have, I think it's 15 or 16 departments. And so like the Department of Justice, the DOJ, right? And so you have departments, and then you have bureaus, like the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That reports through the DOJ.
Okay.
And so there's a reporting structure, there's accountability. You know, agencies can be kind of lone wolves. And the Environmental Protection Agency, so that, just remember this, like if you ever think about business, you know, it's DBA something, so it's departments, bureaus, agencies.
Okay.
The agencies tend to be the more dangerous ones because they have no accountability. There really is no reporting structure, and they certainly don't push any of their decisions through Congress. So they discuss things, they have boards, they supposedly bring in experts, and you know, they decide what needs to happen, and they make a decision as a board, and then they put out an order that we get treated, you know, our businesses, us as racers or people in this community have to treat that as if it's a law. We can even be convicted and fined, you know, for violating those things, but yet that never passed through Congress.
Yeah, I find that very surprising. I thank you for elaborating on that, but that you said that earlier, and I found that to be pretty surprising that, say they come up with an idea, regardless of whether it's a good idea or not, it doesn't matter. You don't check with, you know, 50 other states or so, or your Congress or anybody. They just, it doesn't matter what anybody says. They say, we want this done, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, and as a candidate for Congress, I have a lot of accountability, financial accountability. For donors and for the way we handle money and all these kinds of things.
Yeah, and the people in your district.
What about the people that are part of the EPA? Or let's say you own a company that stands to benefit from some so-called clean energy.
Right.
Okay, and you decide you want to make a donation to somebody's family or to a business or to a charity. Where's the oversight for that?
Right.
You know, so how do you think these things actually come about in the EPA?
Right.
You know? Now, I'm not against legitimate environmental protection. I think God's given us this amazing earth, and we should take care of it.
True, very true.
But we also have to remember that this ball that we all live on is over 8,000 miles in diameter. That's pretty dang big.
Yeah.
Okay? You can take the entire population of the planet and put it into a quarter square mile. We have 8,000 mile diameter. We can put all the people into a quarter square mile. I'm not sure we're going to have as big of an impact on this planet as some of these climate change folks and some of these activists would like to think that we do. Especially when you think about our industry. It's it's not immeasurable, but almost immeasurable in the grand scheme of things.
It really is. It's one of the things that we've discussed before here, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because that's a point that a lot of people don't understand, is that if you stifle some of these industries, they're so big, there's so many people employed, there's so many people that make a living, it pumps money into our economy, and they see it as a threat because of an environmental reason, but what they don't understand is that there already are Clean Air Acts that are currently in place and are enforced for street vehicles, and we do agree with those rules.
Exactly.
You know, I have modified vehicles myself, but I play by the rules because I do care.
Yeah.
But when you start trying to enforce those rules on racers here, you're not putting a dent in the environment that much. It is such a tiny, minute. It's such a tiny amount. It doesn't really do anything. All it does is it hurts our industry. It hurts our money as families, and it hurts grassroots racers. It hurts people that are trying to go out and enjoy a hobby and spend money, and us who are trying to provide a service to those people. People in your area and mine down in Texas. I mean, it's not just ag areas. It's not just the south or the north, the west or the east. It's everybody.
Yeah, it's damaging to our social structure as well, to our family structure. I mean, think about if a family's not going to go out and go racing, a couple times a month, what might else they do? What's going to fill their time? My guess is that it may involve a screen or something that isn't as as physically active, as maybe going to the racetrack. The other thing is in relationships. I mean, you and I both know this. I walked into my hotel last night and I was like, my people, I'm like, okay, we're here, we've arrived. And even here, being at SEMA, it's so amazing, I just want to go and touch all the engines, and I don't like to touch the cars, but I do try to rub just the back of my fingers on the paint. Like, it's so soft.
Good quality work. Somebody really cared about this.
It's beautiful.
No, it's definitely a passion. Yeah. These people here have a passion for it, and you are right when you say families and relationships. It's relationships within this industry. Yeah. It's also within the communities, and you wouldn't believe how many people come through here, and it's fathers, sons, husbands and wives that build projects and race cars, and they do it for the pure enjoyment of it. They're not putting 1,000 miles a year or even a year on these things. They're putting 10 miles a year on these things, and they're going to racetracks where they're supposed to be going. They're enjoying off-road and drag racing and all sorts of stuff. We all do it personally too, and it is a huge social community. It's a big part of my social life, Dane's social life, all of us. So it's a big deal.
So we need to stand together as a community. I know we've been working on this for a few years. The RPM Act, the Save Our Race Cars project.
We support that.
Everything that the SEMA PAC is doing, SEMA, PRI. I want to encourage people to become members. Individual members if they're not company members of both of those. Our entire way of life in terms of our pleasure and enjoyment and entertainment, as it relates to our cars and our performance vehicles and even our off-road vehicles and boating. I mean, this touches all of it. Yeah. And we've got to have protection for that. This is just like a lot of the lunacy that's going on in our country right now. This falls into that same bucket where people are making something of it that it's not. And we need to stand together as a community, and we need to fight against it, and we need to make sure that our constitutional rights are protected. And that's what I intend to do in Congress. And it's very important for me to see the RPM Act get passed. I would actually even maybe make some modifications so it provides even more protections. Yeah. But here's something to think about with that. Isn't it interesting, for those of you who don't know what the RPM Act is, it's basically an act to stand against something that the EPA has put out that essentially takes away some of our freedoms with regards to motorsports and aftermarket, modifications to vehicles that were originally intended to be for street use and things like that. Isn't it interesting that we have to go to Congress to get a law passed to protect something that was taken from us from an unconstitutional administrative agency?
Yeah,
it just seems backwards to me.
I was about to say the same thing. It seems a little backwards.
Yeah, my desire, I want to fight for the RPM Act, but even more so, I want to go to DC and I want to stand against this administrative state and all of the other sort of wrongful methods that are being used against us when this is supposed to be, a government of our consent.
Right. It's what a lot of people don't realize is that the whole point of a law going to a group of people like we have set up is so sometimes you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the EPA has definitely made decisions in the past where it's like, well, that was an uneducated. But if you brought that to a group of people, either in our industry or even other congressmen and women, they could tell you, no, hold on, wait a minute, you don't. that wouldn't work, and let me tell you why. You're crowdsourcing your idea and bouncing it off of other people and doing better to make your idea better.
Yeah.
When you do it like that, you just get free reign and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
That's I'm very glad you came here to talk today with us, Mr. Sessler.
Yeah,
that was
no
great.
problem, Nick.
And you definitely enlightened me. I did not know that. That's I say most that are watching this probably said the same thing. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, well, I love this industry. I've got great friends that get their livelihood from this industry.
Yeah.
Almost all of us, I would say, probably everyone here and millions of people around this country really enjoy this. This is our pastime. We go to work and we do our thing and we raise our families but this is kind of our sport. This is our fun. This is what we do, and it should be protected. We're not doing anything wrong. We're not breaking any laws here.
Right.
We're just we're passionate about power and about power sports and everything related to it, and we ought to be able to enjoy that without feeling like we're doing something wrong.
Well, Jerrod, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming by and talking to us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this video. If you have anything else, please like, subscribe, share, and comment below. Let us know what you think. We're interested to see what the people have to say about stuff like this, and we'll see you in the next video.
Absolutely.